Kevin Eastman, co-creator of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, just gave fans an exciting update on the long-awaited live-action adaptation of The Last Ronin. He's been comparing it to Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns and hinted at exactly how gritty and R-rated this one's going to be. Eastman praised Paramount and Nickelodeon for keeping him in the loop, not just on comics and cartoon projects, but especially on this film, saying they've always made him part of the process even when they didn't have to. From what Eastman has gathered in early discussions, the filmmakers love The Last Ronin for the same reason he does. It's basically his love letter to The Dark Knight Returns. Like Miller's story, it exists in a slightly alternate universe where they don't have to follow every piece of canon or lineage. Instead, it's a complete story in itself. For The Last Ronin, they've taken that same approach but rooted it deeply in the Mirage universe. To Eastman, the 1984 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles marks the beginning, while The Last Ronin is the definitive end, making it the perfect self-contained tale. This is a story more than 3 decades in the making, first dreamed up by Eastman and Peter Laird back in the late 80s, right when the Turtles were hitting peak popularity. It's set in a future post-apocalyptic New York, where the last surviving turtle has seen his 3 brothers and even Master Splinter killed. As the Last Ronin, he sets out to avenge them by taking on the Shredder's grandson, Oroku Hiroto. Along the way, though, he learns he's not completely alone. Old allies and new friends join him in the fight. Eastman and writer Tom Waltz have expanded this gritty vision into what they call the Roninverse, which already includes the spin-off The Lost Years and the sequel Re-Evolution. On the production side, Walter Hamada, former president of DC Films and producer of hits like The Batman and Aquaman, is on board, signaling that the movie is fully committed to delivering a mature, intense cinematic experience. This will also be the first live-action Turtles project since Michael Bay's second film back in 2016. If you've never read the Last Ronin miniseries, you're missing out on what is essentially the final chapter of the Turtles saga. The comic keeps the identity of the last surviving turtle under wraps at first, but here's the hook. He's carrying the weapons of all 4 brothers and constantly haunted by the ghosts of his fallen siblings. His mission? To bring down the ruthless Oroku Hiroto, the grandson of the Shredder. If your only experience with TMNT is pizza-loving cartoons, the tone here might shock you. The Turtles actually started out as a dark, violent comic series when Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird created them, far from the Saturday morning heroes we grew up with. Over the years, that edge was softened, especially after the first animated series turned them into a worldwide phenomenon. But The Last Ronin pulls the franchise back to its gritty roots. And yes, it's set in the future, so this isn't the end for the heroes in a half-shell overall, it's just this Turtles' final ride. It's an emotional, sprawling, and action-packed epic that deserves the big screen treatment. Thankfully, Paramount has confirmed an R-rated live-action adaptation is in the works. Like Old Man Logan and The Dark Knight Returns, The Last Ronin is all about the final stand. These stories might feel bittersweet since they serve as an ending, but they give fans the kind of closure that's rare in modern pop culture. When James Mangold made Logan, he proved that a movie not worried about setting up another sequel can hit harder emotionally. It lets you truly live in the moment, knowing the hero might not make it out alive. That's something cinematic universes often miss because they're always building toward the next big thing. With The Last Ronin, we get to feel every ounce of the last turtle's pain, knowing he's lost the only family he's ever had. We already suspect the ending won't be pretty, but like any great samurai tale, it's about letting the hero go out on his own terms. Writer Tom Waltz has teased what could be a dream-come-true moment for longtime Ninja Turtles fans, bringing back Judith Hoag, the actress who played April O'Neil in the 1990 live-action film For the Last Ronin. With the groundbreaking miniseries already serving as the launchpad for multiple projects, Waltz says the idea of involving Hoag in some way is something he'd love to see happen. Given his pivotal role in the Turtles' modern revival, his endorsement carries a lot of weight with the fanbase. Hoag's original performance as April came early in her career and left a huge mark on the franchise's history. Having her return decades later would be a full-circle moment, not just for her, but for the Turtles as a whole. Waltz hasn't specified exactly how she might appear, whether reprising April from 34 years ago or stepping into a completely new role, but he's made it clear how much it would mean to him personally and to fans everywhere. Almost instantly, the idea rocketed to the top of fan wish lists for the movie. For many, Hogue's portrayal of April helped cement their emotional connection to the series, so the hope is for her to have a meaningful, substantial role in The Last Ronin rather than just a quick cameo. However it happens, the thought of seeing her back in the Turtles world after all these years is enough to get fans buzzing. One of the biggest problems Turtles movies have faced since the original trilogy is that filmmakers never seem to know where to draw their inspiration from. The early TMNT comics were dark and gritty, while the various animated series have bounced between tones to fit each new generation. Some fans push for a retro throwback that captures the colorful spirit of the 80s cartoon, while others argue it's better to move forward with the style of Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Nickelodeon's current show, rather than getting stuck in nostalgia. Studios are clearly aiming to launch a fresh wave of films, but that comes with risks. That's where The Last Ronin sidesteps the debate entirely. It's a one-off story, much darker than the usual Turtles fare, but isn't that fitting for a franchise that started as a gritty, street-level comic inspired by Frank Miller's Daredevil? A faithful adaptation of the miniseries could be something unique in a sea of formulaic superhero flicks. It's proof that you don't need a post-credits scene or sequel setup for a story to hit hard. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is give it a proper ending. According to The Hollywood Reporter, the film is officially in development at Paramount and will be the first ever R-rated Turtles movie. Translation: no pulling punches in the action. This could finally be the moment where a ninja actually uses his weapons the way they were meant to be used. No more staged, kid-friendly combat just to keep things marketable. Picture a John Wick-style fight scene with the Turtles. That's the kind of thing longtime fans have been dreaming about. The creative team is already shaping up to be interesting. James Wan, known for Aquaman and the Conjuring films, is reportedly in talks to direct, which makes perfect sense given his mix of large-scale action chops and dark, atmospheric storytelling. The script is being handled by Tyler Burton Smith, adding even more credibility to a project that could finally deliver the Turtles movie fans have been waiting decades for. What's especially interesting is that The Last Ronin isn't being treated as a one and done. Reports say Paramount isn't stopping at a single movie. They're laying the groundwork for an entire TMNT cinematic universe. The first film will reportedly plant plenty of seeds for sequels. That could go either way. If handled well, it could turn into a rich, long-form saga that builds on the Ronin storyline. But if they rush to force a franchise before perfecting the first film, it could blow up in their faces. The priority should be making one rock-solid, self-contained R-rated TMNT film. No awkward post-credit setups, no clumsy teases. If it's great, fans will demand more on their own. Still, in modern Hollywood, sequels are almost a given. Paramount clearly sees The Last Ronin as the chance to push Ninja Turtles into a darker, more mature, mainstream spotlight. And unlike so many cash grab expansions, this one has the potential to actually be worth it. If it stays true to the source material, it could do for TMNT what Logan did for Wolverine, a raw, emotional, and brutal reinvention that elevates the franchise beyond its usual tone. According to Joe Blow, the movie will follow the key beats of the comic, but will also mix in fresh elements to keep even the most die-hard fans on their toes. That's the right call for a story that's already so well loved. If they pull it off, The Last Ronin could completely shift how people see the Turtles, proving they're more than just nostalgia icons. This is the TMNT movie fans have been craving for years. No goofy slapstick, no watered-down action, just an intense, character-driven revenge story with real stakes. The Turtles are finally growing up, and The Last Ronin is leading the charge.